Joining me now is Democrat strategist Jim Kessler. Jim, great to see you. We've been talking about the anticipation, the lead up to this visit for quite some time. Now it has happened. Great for Anthony Albanese, a bit of a bruise for Kevin Rudd. What did you make of it? I mean, and is there any kind of reporting in America of that visit from our PM?
Absolutely. No, it's gotten a lot of coverage. I also think the bruising of Kevin Rudd, it was kind of a love tap. That's that's not a real howitzer from Donald Trump. That's kind of affectionate ribbing. Yeah, this has gotten very good coverage in America because the big issue in the United States with right now with China is rare earth material. Australia is a huge supplier of rare earth materials. It is one of the solutions to America's national security and economic problems. Like there's a confluence of interests that have come here. Also, in the past, the U.S. and Australia, of course, have had a wonderful relationship, but also the trade balance between the two countries has been favorable for the U.S. Except for beef, there really hasn't been the sort of thing that antagonizes Donald Trump. So it has been played up here in the U.S. press as a very successful summit between two leaders that need each other.
I mean, Anthony Albanese's political opponents, the one thing they've been able to latch on to, I think, is that we weren't given any relief on tariffs. And they argue that other countries have done. Is that true?
Well, a lot of countries feel like they should get more relief on tariffs from the United States. And the tariffs that Trump has imposed on Australia is less than most other countries. They're still too high. I mean, we should not have a tariff, in my view, on any Australian goods. I think we should have zero tariffs bilaterally between the two countries. But that is not the way Donald Trump is operating. He wants tariffs on every single country. I do believe that this relationship is moving forward positively right now. We've also learned with Donald Trump, he has no permanent friends and he has no permanent enemies. You can, be on the naughty list by Christmas. So, but I do think this was a successful summit between the two leaders.
Yeah, I think so too. And basically, Anthony Albanese got everything that he needed out of Donald Trump. Assurances on AUKUS, a pass on increasing defence spending. There was that criticism of Kevin Rudd, but really he's not going anywhere. There was an apology and acceptance of that apology off camera, as confirmed by Anthony Albanese today. But yeah, on the optics of it, I mean, I hate to get into the body language aspect of it all, but we see a lot of these visits. It was noted that it wasn't in the Oval Office, this Q&A, it was sitting around the table at the White House. Is there anything that you would point to as out of the ordinary or completely ordinary?
None of these meetings are completely ordinary.
No.
This one just seemed to pass the test. I think they were in the Roosevelt room, but I'm not precisely sure. That is a very ornamental and important room in the White House. I do think if there's any sort of clouds in the aftermath of that meeting, it doesn't have to do with Australia, but it has to do with China, in which Donald Trump said, I do not believe that Xi Jinping has any plans for a military invasion of Taiwan. I don't know why he said that. U.S. military has been worried about that for a long time. So I don't know why he downplayed that, but I do think that if he is downplaying China's influence in the region, that's not good for anybody in the region. But those are the only gray clouds that I saw from this meeting between the two heads of state.
I mean, there's a look, as I said, there's a lot of people in Washington, D.C., Kevin Rudd's old colleagues back home, even those that are on the same side of politics as him that didn't, somewhat enjoy the humbling of Kevin Rudd in front of the US president yesterday. But there is still a lot of praise for Kevin Rudd. And it usually comes in twofold: his work ethic and his knowledge on China that he's sought out for in DC. Do you know any of that feedback? Is that your experience, or you don't have any experience of that type?
Sure, I'm familiar with Kevin Rudd's expertise on China, on the region, in the area. And Australia has been a huge partner in that regard for a long time. I would also say this: Donald Trump, in a lot of foreign policy areas, has shown a lot of flexibility, for better or for worse. And his views evolve both on China and Russia, a great deal over a short period of time, often informed by the last expert that he met with. So I do believe that Kevin Rudd's expertise on China, particularly since the relationship between US and Australia, is very strong right now, will be listened to even more, and that's important for the US going forward.
Yeah, I mean, what I thought was most notable out of yesterday, Jim, is that we've been talking about a lot the lead up to this meeting, 9 months in the making, as I say. There's been a lot of criticism levelled at Donald Trump. We know, at Kevin Rudd, because of those comments. We know that Donald Trump has a long memory, but he didn't seem to even know who Kevin Rudd was yesterday, didn't know about the comments, and as you say, a love tap. So your reading of that wasn't an impediment to getting the meeting. Why did it take so long then, in your view?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's possible the meeting took a long time because until very recently, the concerns that maybe Australia had were not front burner for the United States. But now, with China imposing moratoriums and bans on rare earth materials, the equation's changed somewhat. And Australia is now a solution to America's problems, rather than just being one of many good allies out in a region that's very important. So Australia has something now that is very important to America at this moment that didn't seem as important maybe 6 months ago, now that the US-China sort of trade relationships is on rocky seas. So maybe it's fortuitous that this meeting did take 9 months because it put Australia on favorable terms for that meeting.
Well, that is certainly a glass half full approach, Jim Kessler, and I welcome that here this morning. Thank you so much for your time, as always. We'll see you soon.